If I do the Ogun thing, that's the warrior. If I do the Shango thing, that's the general. Is this going to be a warrior or general situation? Well, we're talking general now because we got to do strategy. But generals, I'll do the strategy thing. It's much better. Well, it's much better. It's more appropriate for what we have to talk to the folks about tonight. So here we go, Shango. I like that. Oh, hey, Instagram. It's me, T from the Pattersons, taking the train to the bed. Decisions. Hey, look. Stuff has been happening. Let me just, how should I do this? First of all, let me clear the people out. Let me do it that way. I'll do that way by giving my bona fides, and people can stand my bona fides. I thought they're finished eating. Oh, sorry. If they, is that something on tea? Oh, no, that's not. And if they don't stick around for the bona fides, which is good, then, we'll have the true people in here that need to know this. Okay? The subject tonight is, what do you do about the Donald? So, bona fides. There's a lot of stuff that's been happening. How do I start? Let me say this. I took a trip one time. Well, that's my defining trip. I was in. I went to Central America. I won't tell you how it was happening. But anyway, I had some time when I went from the top of Guatemala, Puerto Barrios, Guatemala, over to Livingston, Guatemala. Right now, Puerto Barrios. From that place you can either take a boat, like the mail boat, or the boat. A lot of people go, it's cheaper, or you can take a launch. A speedboat right there. I didn't know any better. I just got there. I had some money. I didn't know about the other boats, so I took the launch. Now, in the launch, you have one guy, making his living, right? And in this particular one, it was we had a guy that was a student, a law student from UCLA, I think it was, and then we had a girl from Holland, right? So they were down there, they were talking, I was just there, I'm from where I'm from. So I was talking, and every once in a while they would say something, and I said, well, that's all right, but it seems to me, blah blah blah. After a while, they looked at me and said, you're really smart, right? I'm going, no, I'm not smart. Here's the scoop. They were talking, but they were that was the early. This was like 1990. Yeah, 1990. Which means that there's no internet. There's not discernible internet, and people still getting their stuff from what do you call that, magazines and newspapers and stuff like that. But they was basically talking headlines. Nobody was reading. Well, they was talking headlines. Now, at that particular point, I had just let me put it this way. Let's go back. And right after I got out of undergraduate school in 1976, 75, whatever it is, Livingston College, Rutgers University. And before I went into, that's right, it was 75. And before I went to graduate school for playwriting, which was 1977, 1977, I was doing all kinds of things. When I was living I was living with a bunch of people. Actually, I won't get to that because you'll be thinking something. A bunch of people, and I had a Toyota Carina. Great car. It was one of those cars. It was unique because it had a bell-shaped housing, like I think it was Jaguar at the time. It had a bell-shaped housing, and it only came out for 2 years. It came out 73 and 74. They discontinued it. Oh, brother, why they discontinued it? Because this car was so good. I found out later when I got to Cape Town talking to this mechanic, years later, 10 years later. He said, oh, that car, man, they sold that car. When you left the lot, we said, oh, we'll never see them again. So they couldn't make any money off of it. So they only came out for 2.5 years. This was an incredible car. You could do your own, all your own work on the car. You did it, and it was just roomy. I mean, like that. So anyway, I had a paper route in basically East Brunswick, and in that paper route, I got quite good at it. When you first started, it took me like, I don't know, 5 hours, 6 hours to do the route. But after a while, I mean, I could do the route in 2 hours. You know, and it was one of those things where the cars full of newspapers, and the newspaper we delivered was the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, and the and Daily News, and then once a week was the Village Voice, and of course the Sunday Times. But I got so good, I can take, you know, cars come this is for like you report at 4 o'clock in the morning, about 4:30 in the morning, you're on the route or thereabouts. I can take the paper from because we're driving. I can take the paper, see the porch, you know, the person's house over there, or the driveway. I can take it from my window, just sling like that, right in the driveway. Well, then sling just like that. It took me no time to do that. So consequently, after I finished the route, which was quite early, then I had all this time, and of course it was extra papers. So I would be reading the Wall Street Journal. You know, and the Wall Street Journal then was really the Wall Street Journal, big paper. They had jump cuts with a long article, and then you go to whatever page, it was still longer like that. And then, of course, the New York Times, you know what the New York Times has always been the same. Well, it's gotten smaller now, but you know, you had the two things, right? And then Daily News. In fact, when I was in it, this is funny, was it junior high school? Yeah, I think in junior high school, the really advanced classes, right? They would learn how to read the New York Times. And what it is we would do this. Hey, that's Talani. Hey, Talani. Whoo! This is going to be a long one. This was mostly talking to Americans. Well, the New York Times, there's this way you would take the paper and you take it and you'd fold it a certain way, so you read it like that, then unfold like that, and so that's what the smart classes were doing. The IGC class, let me call IGC, and the other classes they had to do because we read. You learn how to read the newspapers. You would read newspapers back then. You'd have just a regular tabloid, and you would just read it like that. Yeah? So it was quite funny. All right, back to that. So what I found out from them, because I'm a reader, I read everything, right? And so I would take my time to read the paper. I found out, say if an article, something came out, let's say on a Monday or a Tuesday, right? That same kind of story, that same subject will come out like on a Thursday or even a Friday in the Times, but it would be, as you say, less column length. It would be dumbed down a little bit. You know what I mean? Then maybe on Friday or Saturday it would come out in the Daily News and it really be dumbed down, right? So if you back then, if you go to a newsstand and you see the headlines and see you look at the headline, then you figure you got the whole story. Please. So consequently, when they was talking, I realized that these folks, they didn't get to the depth of knowledge. Plus, by that time, 1990, I was at BAI for like 8 years or something like that, and WBAI radio, community radio. When you have people, I mean, we had some incredible people doing really stories. I mean, you get the sound. I would help people with their things. So they come in and say with 6 hours worth of tape, and we had to get it down to 1 hour for a presentation or a half-hour presentation. So I'm there helping the people edit and all the rest of that stuff. So consequently, what you hear for say an hour, the rest of that material, that's the other 5 hours, I've heard it because I'm helping edit it. So I mean that's how it was. And then plus you had the Village Voice. That's once a week, and the Village Voice was kind of interesting because it was once a week, so you had a longer time. What do you call it? The story writers, the you know what I mean. The people that wrote these articles, they had a longer time to flesh out information, so you get a different perspective, right? And of course, the Sunday Times was the Sunday Times. I personally back then, I liked magazines, right? Because magazines, you had like 2 or 3 months lead, and so they really delved into stories. That was quite good. So I'm reading all this stuff. Plus, you get all kinds of points of view and all the rest of that stuff. So consequently, my depth of knowledge, just from whatever osmosis through BAI or through community radio, so it's like all kinds of different voices. I mean, just all kinds of different voices. You got Doug Henwood, the economist. You got Michio Kaku. There you got and then plus you have your regular political people. It was a lot of different people, right? Radical people, all kinds of people, right? And of course, the arts department was whatever. So consequently, my perspective was not because I was particularly smart. It's just that I got to be exposed to stuff, right? Okay, let's move along. Plus in that years too, I would engineer, like for instance, engineer and of course recorders. So in those '80s, you know, what I mean, I was helping. In fact, we started a group called the Sound Gather. I was helping, we give it to the station. So my main thing was early on was Bernard White helped his program, edit tape for his program, put it on the air. We were collecting sound for Samori Marksman and Alambe Breath, calling the Batman and Robin of the movement. You know, because, you know, Alambe had the Patrice Lumumba Coalition, so they had all these speakers coming in there, you know, the Steve Coakley, those kind of people that come in, you know, all kinds of people were coming, and we would be recording them, you know. I mean, one time we had John Stockwell recording John Stockwell, Ralph McGee, or John Stockwell, you know. Don Stockwell is the CIA guy that when they killed Patrice Lumumba, they had him in the boot of in the trunk of his car. So you see, those kind of people were giving their stories. You know, so I'm hearing all this stuff that other people wouldn't hear. Okay. So anyway, so I go on with that little trip, and I come back and I become arts director, and arts director. Yeah, I became arts director. First I was production engineer, then the next year I became arts director. So I was just exposed to a bunch of other stuff, right? Okay, and remember, I'm up here. Let me put it this way: if you ain't know anything about the people that speak in Africa right now, because remember, Alambe was personal friends to a lot of these people. You know, Mugabe, the personal friends to the guy in Namibia, like that. Plus, Alambe had this incredible jazz archive. So when you're doing this program, you know, I have to put the, you know, play the records from. So incredible, just South African music, it's all kinds of, I mean, heavy jazz, heavy jazz. I mean, heavy jazz. So I'm exposed to all that stuff, right? But in this day and age, if there's a guy, academic in Africa, it's called, his name is P.L.O. Lumumba, Dr. P.L.O. Lumumba. You see him, and you say, "Oh, this guy is heavy." But for me, I'm looking at him. I'm going, "Oh, this is Alambe. It's the same thing." He wears African stuff. Alambe had his own kind of style. I mean, it wasn't Western. It wasn't really African. But to me, P.L.O. Lumumba is the continuation of Alambe Breath, just on another level. Like he'll mention religious stuff because Alambe ain't going to mention no religious stuff. You know, so a lot of these folks that's coming through, I'm going like, oh, I know them. You know, I know them. I know their stripe. Let's put it that way. That's when that's when I met, recorded Thomas Ngana, because he came up to New York in like 83, 84 when he came up to New York, and I'm the guy that recorded him for Alambe. You know, even before then. All I'm trying to say is I've been exposed to a lot of stuff. I won't even go into it, but and even throughout the years, you know, it's stuff that would happen. I'd be right there when it happened. Like when they had Occupy Wall Street, I was in Africa, but I had been in the States for some reason. When I got there, it hit, you know, and I go to BA. I'm just trying to say I've been exposed to any movement that started. The National Writers Union, I was there. You know. All I'm trying to say, I've been exposed to a lot of things, but I'm like, I'm really undercover, but I know all these things. Talk about the 80s, First World Alliance. Oh, my goodness. You know, we're talking, man, you know, Sister Kefa, Brother Bill, who started it like that, along with James Small, and of course, Dr. Ben was the first one there. Then they brought John Henry Clark in there. You had Otto Van Sertima, who taught at Rutgers. You know, I knew about all these people. You know, I'm exposed to them, right? In fact, let me just say a little bit of Noma Radio. Out of all those people, for some reason, I gravitated towards, because there's some heavy people. I mean, Amos Wilson, you know, Asa Hilliard, you know, remember, all these kinds of people. I'm listening at First World Alliance. I'm there, you know, and I knew all the recording people there, you know. So anyway, I'm saying that just to say, so my knowledge of stuff is like vast, not because I'm smart, particularly smart. Proximity is everything. If you expose yourself to, and you have the time, then you learn stuff. That's all I'm saying, right? I'm nobody's special, right? And as a recordist, Now you have to remember when you record a speech or something like that, and you're bringing it back to a radio station, you're hearing it, and then you got to catalog it, you bring it back, you got to edit it, and by the time you get to, so basically you're hearing a point like 4 or 5 times. So it just by osmosis it goes into you, right? Okay. Now, now let's move along. When I became arts director, a bunch of other stuff happened there. Then I left BAI. I won't go into some other time we'll talk about WBAI or in fact I was part of it. When I was arts director, let me see. First, well, when Andrew Phillips left, you had Samori Marksman was the program director. You had Mario Murillo was the public affairs director. I was arts director. The news department is Jose was there, and somehow Amy was like there was co-news people or something like that. Who else was there? Valerie was well, let's leave Valerie out there. But she was a station manager. But we had what's the Asian sister's name? She was development director, and before then. But anyway, it was an incredible team. Incredible team. I can't explain to you. That's when the BAI could have went like, shoo. I'll tell you a little story about that some other time. So I'm just trying to say, I know a lot of stuff, and that's just the way it is. Like I was trying to say, at one point, James Small was the how you say the historian, religious philosopher for No More Radio, my program, right? No More Radio at one point we had a staff of like 16 hours, like we had 2 interns, we had 2 people doing the Mayat every week. We had 4 people doing news in rotation. We had special. It was an amazing situation. Okay. So then plus I left and I started to do some other stuff. I was traveling a lot, and then Mario. I was traveling a bunch of places, do audio drama workshops, right? And then they had the coup, the Utrice coup, right? And that was quite interesting. But because of the coup, and people went out on say strike, and just disappeared, they were in what do you call it? We were in the station at 120 Wall Street at the time of this particular coup, and who was the engineer? I think that Errol was the engineer, but then when he left, he had to leave. He left, right? When he left the thing, but Matthew Finch, peace of blessings on eternal soul that had that he passed. Anyway, he became the engineer, but he also took my place. He was the arts director. It was a sort of a conflict, because he's arts director, which is a management position, but he was doing this the Democracy Now. So I happened to be around. I said, ooh. I said, look, Matthew, because I'm trying to save the arts department, whatever. I said, Matthew, okay, because there's very few of us that could do this kind of engineering. I mean, the one time at BAI for the news department, which was tough, we had the only 3 engineers they would allow to do the news, the nightly news, was Paul Williams, Lynn Samuels, and myself. That's how difficult it was, right? So, anyway, so I said, Matthew, you got to hold down, you got to be inside, hold down the thing, you can't do this, and we agreed. So I became the engineer for Democracy Now. We were still at 505, at 120 Wall Street. So I became the engineer. I'm a good engineer, production engineer. Anyway, so we were there, and then a whole bunch of stuff. It's historic, and they finally Utrice in the game. They got Dr. Democracy, or the gang, I mean, like Pacifica, got Democracy Now ousted from 120 Wall Street, and in like one weekend, Errol and them, they got Democracy Now up at the Firehouse down there at downtown community television with John Albert. Shout out John Albert. And so that's where we operated from. And I won't get into it, but things was very whatever. So he's in the garret of the fire station, with the pole that goes down and all that stuff. So basically, this thing was like, was her name Chris? The producers was Chris, Brad Simpson, myself as engineer, and I think Amy. That's the only thing. And then who came in? Somebody else. somebody came in. Oh, Miranda Kennedy came in. So Democracy Now! And everything was run by these 5 people, right? And then the cameras opened up. Then we got this whole staff. We had 2 camera people. This sister and this brother. So we were only black people. Anyway, so like that. They had a director, Yuri, this Israeli guy was the director, and it was amazing. And then it sort of grew from there. I had a little incident with the sea, so I had to leave. But as I left, Democracy Now! Was changing, and it finally got picked up. Some Hollywood designer, production engineer, whatever, not production engineer, changed the set, and then the rest is history. And because it was now being broadcast through free speech TV and a bunch of other stuff, it became what it is today. They finally got out there, got their own studio. Okay, that's the story. Okay. Well, I'm trying to say, a lot of stuff that happened in the movement, if you will, I was there firsthand, right, or participated, and that's sort of been the story of my life. Every time I go someplace, you don't know it's me, but I'm like the guy behind the scenes is taking some important, doing some, understanding, right? That's just the way I is. So I've seen a lot of things. Now let me go over to what I'm going to get to in just a second. I got to say just a couple more things. I met 3, let's call them generals in my lifetime. In the 70s, I was going out with this girl who was, I think she was at Drew University, and Moshe Dayan. The patch guy with Israel, he had a speech there. So me being me, but after the speech, I came down, talked to the guy. He shook my hand, but it was a strange thing. He looked at me, and he had this, it's like this reverence, because I'm the only black person that was I'm the black person that's talking to him. And he started waxing on about Ralph Bunche. And I'm going like, oh, okay. He loved Ralph Bunche. Because if you know history, I didn't know this at the time, but later, Ralph Bunche is the one that helped Israel be Israel. Just saying. It's history. You look it up, right? So I met him. Actually, before then, when I was in the Air Force, and this was like in 70, when I made take trips, like in 73, early 73, I took a trip to the Colorado Springs, where the Air Force Academy was. They was having this program, and some black airmen, we showed up, right? And at the time, he was a colonel. Colonel Chappie James was there, and he brought, there was not a lot of us, he brought these black airmen together. We had a little meeting, just talk, all informal talk. And I'm going to tell you what he said. I'm going to tell you what he said. He was a colonel at the time. He says, we asked him, well, what you going to do when you retire? Because he said, I'm going to go to Africa and teach them how to fly planes, jet flying. Now, he didn't say the country, but either it had to be like maybe Zimbabwe. But it's one of those, Zimbabwe, something like that. That's what he said out of his mouth. Anyway, after that, he got promoted to general. He's the last guy that had that could actually push the nuclear button, right? After he retired, shortly after he retired, he went on. He passed on. I'm not talking conspiracy. I'm just giving you the facts as I know it, right? So I'm getting those 2 generals or whatever it is. Military man. Then the last military man that I want to note, I met other military men. The last military of note is like in 83, 84. Again, I was recording for Alameda, whatever. I met and recorded Thomas Sankara. Burkina Faso when he came to New York. Of course, Patrice Lumumba Coalition. Lumumba had he had a program at Harlem and stuff, but then we had a private thing. I'm just saying, all these kind of things I've been exposed to. Okay, but remember, I'm an audio dramatist. I'm an artist. I'm not. Well, I'm political. Don't worry about that part. Okay, now. What I find, looking at this, plus there's a whole lot of not strife, but stuff that happened. I'm sorry, I got my candle going here, and I don't need it to go because I got my incense going. Get out, go. Thank you. Because of this stuff and all this recording and stuff like that, I know a lot of stuff, but what I notice all the time, they didn't have no black, how do you say, the, except for Robert F. Williams, as far as I'm concerned, there are no strategy and tactics unless these people have. Let me give you a simple thing. When we created Sound Guys in the early '80s, we bought our own tapes. We record these people, and we had put this policy in place because Alambe or Samori, or Samori would lose these tapes. Right? You would think, no, we don't have any money. You would think these guys would at least pay for a box of tape to give to us to. Did they? That's what I'm talking about strategy. It's simple as that, right? I'm not coming down on it. I'm just trying to say this is the mentality of folks. Anyway, so we did it because of the cause, because we who believe in freedom cannot rest, right? In fact, I did Ella Baker's funeral, man. I had it really, with Ron McGee. Oh, it was a great program like that. Anyway, that's not the point. So now, fast forward to today. I grew up in the 50s. I go to movies all the time. Here's what I would say, like Jason and the Argonauts. Those movies, those movies where you had the Greek gods, right? And they would like look into this foggy thing and then wave it away and look at the human beings doing it. And oh, this person is doing that and that person is that. My thing is when I look at what's happening today, these so-called masters of the universe, the people that you call white supremacists, or racists like that, they're having a ball. They're having a lot of fun out there. Like Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. would say, they're having a time of their life laughing at us. Laughing. Laughing. Not even rolling they don't even have to get down and roll on the ground laughing. Because they see, if I take this Negro here and put it next to this Negro here, they're gonna fight. Oh, look at that fight, nice fight. Oh, if I take this Negro here and put it with that Negro over there, oh, they're gonna be fighting over that Negress over there. They just looking at us. I say us, but what's going on? Because let us create let's create what do we call these? I don't want to say coon, but let us create people that within their ranks, right? That will disrupt whatever they're doing, right? They'll be against it. All kinds of weird things. Oh, they'll ditch the flag, and then we get our people. We'll raise the flag, and everybody, all our people wrap ourselves in the flag because we're Americans, and they don't want to be Americans. They want to be Pan-Africanists, right? Yeah, but if you're an American, you got an army behind you. If you're a Pan-Africanist, you ain't got no army. You ain't got no army. It's just an ideology. That's what people don't get, right? Okay. So let's fast forward to today, what I want to talk about. When this whole thing happened with the Sahel and, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, right? I said, whoa, this sounds interesting, because once they wore military uniforms. Now remember, all these guys, when these heads of country, they immediately shun their Africanness, their Africanness, and they put on the suit of the colonizer. They have to have they get their fabric from Milan and then take the fabric to Hong Kong to make a tailored suit, or they just go visit London's Shriver's Road, whatever road they make the and then they can sit proper and represent their country to the former colonizers. Oh, let me tell you something that Samori said one time. Interesting. Back in the early '60s, when people first got their liberation, when they first supposedly got rid of the yoke of whatever imperialism, whatever you want to call it, they used to, when they would join the UN, they would purposely have their flight plan. Their flight plan. Remember, some people come from little villages. This back then. I'm not talking about now in big cities, and they would take the flight plan and fly it over the middle of to get to LaGuardia, I guess it was, at the time, where it wasn't JFK. Anyway, to get to LaGuardia, they would take the flight plan over. So when these folks look down and they see how big the toilet, you see all the little people, all these big, they'd be so impressed because they may have come from a village or the bush or a village that only had 2 stories, 3 stories at the most, or even their palaces weren't. Anyway, just to mess with their psychology, right? I'm just an aside, just some more told me one time. Anyway. So, fast forward to today. when that happened, and at the same time you had the stuff happening in the middle with Gaza and stuff like that, and the United States sent like 3 warships to the Mediterranean, I got a little concerned because that's when the Sahel states, the 3 main guys, they was doing their thing, and and causing France, let's go with France, who's everybody says that what do you call that? England was like the poodle for the United States. Well, England's the poodle. France was the female dog in heat. Whatever the U.S. said, that France would just go ahead and do. In fact, I got this from a geologist when I was going to the University of Fort Hare. Do you know that the uranium that they use, or some of the uranium they use for the bomb Hiroshima, everybody, yeah, the U.S. had uranium, I guess, but it came from the DRC, French control. The French gave them the uranium. You can check it out. I'm just saying, I'm just repeating what a geologist told me. Okay, I believe him because I trust Eric. Don't want to say his name. So anyway, so they kicking France out. I mean, I remember one time I did a workshop. I was in Dakar, Senegal, with Kumbatoria, and she was my interpreter because France, and I was doing this workshop, and I always come up with ideas. So we were someplace in some official building. I said, well, when is this? He said, well, this the president is over there. I said, the president of Senegal? Let's go visit him, invite him to the audio drama. I'm serious. Let's go knock her out. She looked at me. She said, "You're mad." I go like, what? Just it was funny. In fact, let me say one thing. At that time, that was the first time I was in Africa. I have to admit myself, I was sort of kind of. I had fasted when I came there. I was walking around with African pants, with no shoes on. I had my ankle bracelet that make the chung chung chung. Run around with my beer bound. One time I came out of the room and we had all these. It was a hotel that the Saudis or somebody just built. It was just built, and we were like the first. Anyway, so they had a meeting of all the finance ministers, I guess the French, all the African countries, and they walking through the hallway with in their suits and stuff. Like, I'm walking around, I got barefoot, I got my beer bound, and you hear me ching 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 ching, and I look at them, hey brothers, how y'all doing? Da da da. I'm trying to make friends with these guys. They looking at me like I'm nuts. I'm sorry. It's not that I mess with people. It's just that to me, everybody's. Look, I've been in theater for a very long time, so I met all these like your Sidney Poitiers and your Otto Preminger and your Harry Belafonte, all them kind of people I saw when I was 17. So I'm not starstruck. You know what I mean? I'm going like, oh. Pff, pff. So hey, some big time person comes along, I don't be cowed. I don't care what kind of vibe they have, what kind of presence, what kind of charisma they have. I'm not. I respect, but I'm not really in awe. Let's put it that way. It's just the way as you grow up, doesn't matter. So I got concerned because I figured they could just turn their guns around and point it to, Niger and Mali and Burkina Faso, and it'll be over with. I was really concerned because I looked at the whole situation. I can read between the lines real quick, It's one of my abilities. So I got really concerned because I'm going, these guys, this is going to be it. And sure enough, not that they turned the guns around, but they was so occupied with Ukraine and Gaza that they didn't have time for it. Not that they weren't doing stuff. They depended on France and this over. France, they're little French poodles, they're female dogs and heat. I'm sorry, I'm talking about the French. I'm not talking about you, France. I'm talking about your leadership. Your people are in bed, being boinked by the imperialists and stuff like that. That's who I'm talking about. Those kind of people. Those people that anyway, the point is. But then when they started to make that move and kicking people out, I'm going like, whoa, let me look at this thing. I made a note because, like, let me show you my how do you say it? My perspective, right? Like, if everybody's going to, Captain Ibrahim, he's the leader. They're all in there. I understand. I'm not saying like that, but I identify with the Mali guy. What's Assimi Gota, President Gota, right? They're all wearing military things. In fact, talk about hats. I think Burkina But one has a green hat, I think he has a green hat. One has a green beret, another one has a black beret, another one has a red beret. I like that. But they keep their military because they know this is a battle. They're still at war. Now, look, a lot of, I'm just going to say black people, American Africans in the United States, I'm not saying they have to, the military, you don't have to. Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. says, you have your uniform. Your blackness is your uniform. You are at war all the time. Some of us don't think that we are at war. We really don't. I don't know why, but we don't, right? Some of us, very few of us, we know this is another battle, just another battle on this long trajectory to the ultimate liberation, right? But I really admire them because there was a big thing because Commander Ibrahim, Captain Ibrahim, who I call my commander-in-chief. He's my commander-in-chief. I know, technically, since I'm a veteran, technically Donald Trump, if you want to put that, is sort of my commander-in-chief, but it could be. But my real commander-in-chief for the battle for the war to them, for the battle, and the thing to replace with the system with a system of justice, right? It's, well, at this particular point, because he has an army, they have an army, and they are Pan-Africanists. Right, for real, they're not just that, oh, you that, and they're talking about, oh, you're not black enough. Black, it's colorism. You're not black. Oh, you all get me. Don't get me wrong. Everybody has a point. Everybody has their whatever you need to do. Like, let me pick on. Let me see, not pick on, but let's say A.D. West, who I knew from the very beginning. I tracked A.D. West. I sort of got. I won't say that stuff happens with that, but they have the way they organize and what they do. The nodes, I really respect what they're doing, right? The B1, they have. In fact, they used to beef, but I don't think they beef too much anymore because B1, they have their way of doing it. And Tariq, look, you can't out-troll Tariq. See, Elon Musk, even the master troller, the Donald can't out-troll Tariq. That's his, I won't say that's his job like that. And I even like Marcel Dixon. I like what he's done. And he has, again, he was a he went through politics, he understands that world. So about politics, let me say, I also was there when Jesse Jackson ran for the first time, and I got involved with the Jay Raymond or whoever, club up there in Harlem like that. That's what Denny Farrell. Everybody says that. Denny Farrell once told me. He said, "You know what a politician is? You see where the crowd is going, and they jump in front of the crowd. That's what Denny Farrell told me. I'm just telling you what happened, right?" Anyway, so I got the signatures for Jesse when he first ran in 83, 84, right? Registering people to vote. So I got in that world too. This is in the 80s. Let me go back to what I was saying. So for me, the real what should happen right now. I don't know I know you got these people. I'm the head of reparations. I want to be on the commission of reparations. You're so tiring. Okay, everybody, do your lane. But look, the importance of reparations. Everybody wants to beg out this. There's other things to it, repair. There's all kinds of things. But if American Africans, I'm talking with lineage that goes through through to the enslaved and all that stuff. Everybody else the so-called immigrants that come, you can get your reparations from the country that you do, but you get your reparations if African Union do what they supposed to, which is give a continent-wide visa to all the diaspora people, right? Then we can take our reparations money and help out there. Again, the head of Mali, they just have a shea butter factory. They're making shea butter, so you don't have to go through. You can buy your shea butter from them, right? All I'm trying to say, we're like another unit in this movement towards our own liberation, to our ultimate liberation, and that's what should happen. We shouldn't be beefing. Well, we can beef if you want, but Mr. Neely Fully says that you don't be beefing with. Look, all you got is time and energy. If you spend your energy and your time reacting to the troll that is the Donald, or what's the, I don't even going to mention his name, but the Sluter in chief, right? Whose parents immigrated from respectively Canada and England, and immigrated to apartheid South Africa, and this person grew up with the privileges of apartheid South Africa, and he immigrates to Canada, and they come going down to America, right? And has his little cabal with the PayPal mafia, right? And they get, and then plus then he uses whatever, right? And gets contracts with the U.S. military and all that sort of stuff to bolster his. Come on now, can't y'all see all that stuff? Why you hold? I remember. I'm sorry, I jump around a lot. Let me explain something to you. When I was living in Longers, South Africa, Longers, the first township in South, I was in Cape Town, right? This kid came to me, a student, right? And he said he had this paper, this is don't worry, it was sometime the 2000s, and he came to me. He says, and his paper was about, and he cited the richest men. I think it was Bill Gates. What's the guy, the Apple guy, and somebody else, right? And I said, oh, that's fine. I said, but where's your African with all this money? Where's your, India with all this money? And he sort of got dejected because I said, you can have your colonizers, I said, you can white first, but where's the other people, the southern hemisphere people? You was naming all these people that you see, and he really got. Hey, Talani, you know what I was talking about. You probably was there when I gave this guy this criticism. Anyway, so he got upset. Right? And this is before the Muskie came on the scene, right? So all you have is reverence for people with money. The money is fake anyway. I won't get into that. Okay, it's going to confuse you, right? So my problem right now is, the Donald comes from a certain background, certain lineage, has been exposed to certain things. Vivek, the V guy, he jumped out. Too much heat. Muskie, I don't know what's going to happen with him, right? But these immigrants that come in and then step on us and say, "Oh, y'all are stupid," and blah, 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 blah. Oh, Anyway, the point is, the Donald's going to do what he's going to do. He's going to surround himself, and even the black people who surround themselves with, they're basically going to be Negropeans. I don't want to pick on her. Let me just say what I mean, how things can change. That changed. But Candace O, I like Candace O. I just find she has good ideas. She has really good, interesting ideas. But also, remember, she says what changed her mind, what sparked her was like people like Sewell and somebody else that wrote this book like that. All you got to do is say, I got you, sister. Have you ever read any Harold Cruz, right? Have you looked into what Dr. Amos Wilson has been saying? So you have to broaden her black perspective, because they all just talk to each other. It's like a circle. So I heard that preacher. I heard part of it. I heard him before talk at the inaugural. It's hilarious. She's going like, "Why are you imitating Martin Luther King? What does that mean?" So all I'm trying to say is, don't waste your time and energy criticizing. The Donald is in. Criticize the Donald and his people. You should have your own program that you're going to, if they fail or not fail, what it is, that you're doing what you're going to do. And whatever they're doing, that's what they're doing. The question is, what are you doing? What are we doing? I know what I'm doing. And I'm not, I can pay a little bit of attention, maybe 10% of my whatever to what's going on there, but then I got another 30% what's going on in Africa, and I got another whatever percent taking my craft, my audio drama, and creating a situation. Because remember, arts is what this artistic revolution. I know you can bang all you want, gun all you want, or prison all you want, but I'll try to land my helicopter here. You know what's happening in Kenya? They're taking the combies and they're painting the image of Captain Ibrahim Traore, my Commander Traore, on the taxis, on the walls. The images is every place. I guess Ruto, the guy that sucked up to Biden, the Biden's going out. That he I guess he's miffed. What you going to do? Just think of all of Africa. They started putting the image. This is art. This is cultural revolution. So your revolution doesn't have to be bang bang. It could be something else. At one point, I'm not going to mention his name, but one of my teachers, one of my theater teachers, had a child, and so I wrote a poem. What used to happen is when you was around tonight. They'll say you was. Don't worry about it. um, if a child was born, all the poets would do a poem, all the musicians would do a musician. See what I'm saying? Music to that person. At this particular time, I believe all over, if you believe in, you know, every bona fide person who believes in freedom and will not rest until it's done, when something happens, you get a 16-track album or something like, or 16-track, whatever it is, or streaming, whatever it is, at least one should be dedicated to reparations or coming together with Africa, because if the 50 African, is it 54, 55 African nations can come together, I'm sure 50 states or 50 whatever realities can come together on this one thing. We want to, you can talk about it, you can music about it, you can poet about it, you can sing about it, you can comedian about it, right? And you don't have to be against the Donald and their people. You have to be for what you want. And while Michelle is embarrassing us, I'm telling you, Michelle, look, betrayal is the worst thing. Barack Obama came and betrayed us. He betrayed his peoples, right? Michelle's lending a bad name to diplomacy, right? Just think, the first black lady is the one that break. I don't want to get into it. The point is, look, stop reacting to them. They are trolling you. Stop reacting to them. I hate the word proactive. Do what you're supposed to do. What you're supposed to do is continue to work towards our ultimate liberation. That is the agenda. The agenda is not, talking against somebody, whatever it is. You might be able to turn a Candace Owens by doing it, or let them react to what you're doing. And it shouldn't be a negative thing. It should be all positive. Is this coming through to you? Okay. So anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about. This is what's important. It's a message from I'm wearing my Shango head, red and white. And I'm just planning. This is the planning. As soon as we get into open warfare, then Ogun can come and help go all out. All right? Okay. Talk to you later. Bye.